Turns out monsters have to go to college to learn how to be scary. I always thought college was a place where you learn how to handle your booze. Alcoholic monsters. I smell a spin-off!
And for all the things you told me, only time will tell if I'll be able to survive. Oh yeah! Teacher, teacher, can you teach me? Can you tell me all I need to know? Teacher, teacher, can you reach me? Or will I fall when you let me go?
So, Monsters University is, of course, the story of Mike Wazowski and James Sullivan before they worked for Monsters, Inc. It shows them as college students, and Mike is sort of book smart, but he doesn't know exactly how to practice scaring. James Sullivan, exactly the opposite. Great at scaring, but not exactly smart when it comes to the technical aspect of the job. And of course, these two find themselves in a rivalry to try to outscare the other. Well, eventually their antics get them kicked out of the scaring school, and so they're forced to compete in these sort of Olympic-type games called the Scare Games at their college. They bring together sort of a ragtag team of nobodies in order to hopefully win the competition, and if they do, they will be reinstated back in the scaring school. So now these two polar opposites must work together in order to achieve their dreams. So, I kind of explained in my previous video what my expectations were going into Monsters University. I really thought it was going to be sort of a toss-up. It could go the way of Toy Story, where they work, they actually have something new to present in the sequel, and that's the reason they're doing it. But it could go the way of Cars, where they just make a sequel just to make money and really don't put all that much effort into it. So I really didn't know what to think going into it. I did have high hopes. I enjoyed the trailers, but trailers don't often reflect the movie properly, so I really didn't know what to think. What I found was actually one of the rare, worthwhile prequels. Because the problem with a prequel is that you're often robbed of some suspense and some drama, because if you saw the original movie, you know what's going to happen, and so things are going to work out whatever way before the movie even starts. And so in order to do a prequel right, you have to add enough worthwhile content to make it worth sitting through. And luckily, this movie actually does that. And I was surprised at how complex this story got. I mean, because you even look back at Monsters, Inc., and it's a pretty straightforward kids movie. It's a great kids movie, but it really doesn't... If you look at the basic story structure and how everything ties up, it's pretty predictable. And this one is, in a sense, but it also throws you for a few loops that I never really expected, and I really liked that. First of all, I loved, because like I said, they have to compete in these, scare games in order to prove themselves as, scary monsters, and all of the events in the scare games were actually really creative, really well done, and I really enjoyed them. They were a lot of fun to kind of to figure out and see how everything turns out, and how these sort of losers that Mike and Sully get mixed in with, how they kind of use alternate tactics in order to win these challenges that are specifically designed for like the scariest monsters out there. Because you look in the trailers, these are not intimidating creatures that Mike and Sully are teamed up with, but they're able to use really clever strategies in order to get through all the challenges. And it made me really look forward to every challenge to see what was going to happen and how they were going to face it. And that was really well done. I love it when a movie can make you look forward to, what's going to happen next. And this movie does a great job at that. Just again, the story was really well told, and what really caught me was the ending. This movie does not. This movie really doesn't end the way you think it does. Like it does have a happy ending. Everything wraps up nicely. Of course, it's a kids movie. You can't really go any other route, but it it's not the ending you expected, because as it gets towards the end of the scare games, and things start wrapping up, you start seeing them working together and getting so close to victory. You start to think it's going to go a certain way, and that things are going to wrap up this way, but actually then it tacks on a whole other element of drama that actually fits in. It's not like these, like, what you normally see in like kids movies and like comedies, where it's like this random misunderstanding that somehow is supposed to create drama. It's actually it's actually a twist and kind of a shock that fits with the characters and fits with the development of the story that's been happening so far. And it really makes you look back and go, wow, I mean, you really feel like you misjudged one of the characters, and it really, really works for drama. When it comes to the characters and the actors, of course, Billy Crystal and John Goodman are back on top of their game, just like they were in Monsters, Inc. Steve Buscemi is back as Randall, although he has a much, much smaller role in the movie. And the rest of the the rest of the heroes are enjoyable and lame, but in a funny way. The bad guys, which are the competing fraternity, competing frat house that are trying to take down Mike and Sully, they were great. They sort of descended into stereotypical like bullies at points, but bullies slash jocks, but overall they were really enjoyable and they served their purpose fine. I have to commend the humor. That was the one of the big things I was worried about going into this was, is it going to go for the cheap gags that you see in kids movies nowadays? And yeah, a few times it does, but actually I was surprised at the amount of mature jokes, not mature as in inappropriate, but like adult jokes for adults to get, callbacks to the original movie, which I really appreciated, and funny callbacks at that, and just jokes that transcend the age barrier, where there's something about the humor for people of all ages to enjoy, which I think is the most important thing in a kids movie, is make it enjoyable for kids, but allow anyone to take something away from it. And that's what the humor in this movie and the comedy does really well. So overall, I would put this with The Croods as the two best animations so far this year. Not sure which one is better. They're both solid, though. They're both very solid. It does descend into typical kids movie corniness at times, but that's to be expected. That said, it does have a lot of charm to it and a lot of surprising wit, and also some maturity in terms of storytelling and in terms of character development, which I was really pleasantly surprised about. It was a lot of fun. I had a great time. I was smiling through a lot of the movie, and if you're a fan of the original, I would say absolutely go for it. If you haven't seen the original, you're not familiar with the franchise, I think it's still worth checking out. I do think it holds up as its own movie. Just, a few references might go over your head, but I'd still say check it out. I definitely had a great time. And that's it for this review. Check out the written review, which will be coming in the description below. And until next time, this is Capn Sammich, signing out.